Welcome to HortTube. My name is Putnam. In this video, I'm putting in some more pansies and daffodils here in the back garden space. The spot I'm standing is just screenings and the patio is about to be laid. I actually have all the stone laid out here to get started on that. And I've got all these leaves that you'll be able to see behind me, this mess. There's leaves laying on shrubs and everything else. And there's gonna be a video on leaves coming up, just how we deal with them. A lot of these will just go and get shredded and then come back as mulch in the garden. But just from a timing standpoint, I got to get these pansies in the ground. I'm about 6 weeks later than I normally be putting them in. These are in little 2.5 to 3 inch containers, which I would prefer to buy if I'm doing them this late. I did do one group in the front in smaller cell packs, but really I prefer to buy them a little bit larger. Normally I'm talking about saving money on annuals, and we're doing things from seed, and that's the whole point of this channel, is really to be able to get a lot out of your garden on a small budget, and that's part of the leaf video and that kind of thing. But in this particular case, wanted to put some winter color out here and early spring color out here with the bulbs and the pansies, and spend a little bit of money on that. But this is a blue and kind of a yellow combo, but these yellows start out bright yellow and then fade toward a little bit of a really pale yellow. We've got two different daffodils. One's called Golden Echo and one's called Casada. I have 50 of each of them. And what I'm going to do is put groupings of one, toward the back of this space, and then put the pansies in between them. So the daffodils will come up just right behind them or in them a little bit and bloom in February, March. And then the pansies I'm really just trying to get them rooted in the ground between now and February, and then February, March, April into early May. That's when they'll put on their big show. Had other annuals back here. They were looking great when we left. Got nuked while we were out for 2 months. You just saw, I pulled them all up. I went in with the shovel and just broke that soil up just a little bit so I could get a few of those root balls out of there from the salvia that was planted in this space. And then I've put some pine bark soil conditioner and a little bit of cow manure there as well. And just that's how I improve these annual beds each time. So once a year, I go through and add some additional material to them. You can just use compost. Compost is totally fine. But I'm just trying to get as much out of these as I possibly can. So I'm going to lay these bulbs out, lay the pansies out, and then get them in the ground. It's really kind of straightforward. These are super satisfying jobs when you can come in and, erase something that just, look terrible and turn it into something that looks quite a bit better very, very quickly. Again, lots of things to do back here in the background that you guys will see coming up, cleaning up this garden and getting it back to where I'd like for it to be. But these pansies really needed to go in the ground. These daffodil bulbs were from Color Blends. You saw I just took a trowel, and this trowel's got measurements on it. You can use whatever the heck you want to use to plant the bulbs. But once you've worked a bed like this to the point that I can take this, this is a 5.5 inch blade on this thing. I can stick this in all the way, about 7 inches down in the ground in this spot where I've worked these annual beds over and over and over again. Same thing's true in the vegetable garden over there. Every place that we've put annuals, once a year or more, I've put compost and bark or just compost. At one point, this was wood chips initially that got this whole thing started. But I can take this and just, without hardly any effort, that's over 6 inches down in the ground, and then just pull back and drop that bulb down in the ground. Those daffodil bulbs are gigantic, the ones we get from Color Blends every year. We've got a lot of bulbs planted in this garden, so if you're following along with the channel, you're going to see quite the bulb show this year. And we put in a few tulips out in the front in the first of these pansy planting videos, and then daffodils in the other two. I think this combo is going to look really great, especially, again, once we get everything cleaned up here behind it. There's going to end up putting a kind of a focal point toward the middle of this space as this patio area develops. So maybe a Japanese maple, something like that. We'll see. That'll be coming up in content So there you go. Thank you guys for following along with the channel. Slowly coming back in here and getting things up to date. And I really need to clean, but the timing on stuff, sometimes you got to put something aside to do something else first, because these faster I get these pansies in the ground, the more likely they are to get themselves established before we have some real cold this winter, get themselves really anchored in and rooted, and then explode there in the spring. I'm not fertilizing them right now. I'll fertilize them on the other side of the new year. And the other thing is, it needs to be watered. It is extreme, at least in our area here, in my area of the southeast in Raleigh, it is extremely dry. I couldn't believe just flipping over this annual bed, which we have worked so hard on to absorb water. Now, there's not a drop of water that could fall in that bed. It's not going to soak directly in. And so, generally speaking, we don't have to do a whole lot of watering once our annuals are established in these beds every season. Once they get anchored in down, because again, there's 10 inches of organic material down below them. It absorbs every bit of water that falls, but it is bone dry. 3 inches down, this entire garden is just absolutely bone dry. So these will get watered in well, but that's really all the maintenance I'll do on them. If it was going to be a giant dip in temperature really, really quickly, I might throw a cloth across the top of them for the night and then get it off pretty quickly once it warms back up. But most of our days during the winter, we get up into the 50s or low 60s, and everything thaws out and they don't really have a problem. There are lots of playlists on the channel. I have the videos divided over the years into playlists. There is a playlist for bulb planting. So if you want to learn all about, there's an all about daffodil video, how to plant bulbs, how to maintain bulbs, anything you'd want to know about bulbs, they're in that playlist. Same thing with annuals. There's a playlist on the channel for annuals. This video will go in both of them because I planted bulbs in and some, pansies here. So, again, if you go back to those playlists on the main channel, you can, I think, get a lot out of, those groupings of videos where I've grouped them together. So thank you guys very much for following along with the channel.